Every prepper I know thinks they're ready for war. They're not ready for week 2. Because here's what grid-down warfare actually looks like. It's not firefights and bunkers. It's your toilet backing up with raw sewage creating a cholera factory in your basement. It's thermal signatures from candles visible to anyone with $400 consumer drones. It's dying from an infected cut because you never learned veterinary antibiotics are chemically identical to human prescriptions. It's starving with a full pantry because you counted packages, not calories. The tactical gear industry built you a fantasy. They sold you plate carriers while ignoring the 7 things that actually determine whether you survive 3 months or 3 years. These aren't products. They're protocols. Decision frameworks. Systematic understanding of how humans actually die when infrastructure collapses, and you can implement all 7 before next month. Thing number 1, you're going to drown in your own shit. Not metaphorically, literally. In every modern urban warfare scenario, Sarajevo, Aleppo, Mariupol, waterborne disease kills 8 to 10 times more civilians than combat in the first month. But walk into any prepper's setup and what do you see? Firearms, food stockpile, water filters, bug-out bags, tactical gear. What you don't see? A plan for human waste disposal when the grid dies. Here's the math nobody's doing. 4 people, 7 flushes per day each, 1.6 gallons per flush. That's 45 gallons of raw sewage every single day with nowhere to go. And the sewage system? It fails within 6 hours of power loss. Lift stations require electricity to pump waste uphill to treatment plants. When the grid drops, gravity takes over. Toilets back up. Basements flood with sewage. Streets become open latrines within 48 hours. This isn't theoretical. Siege of Sarajevo, 1992 to 1996. 12,000 people died from waterborne disease. 5,400 died from combat, cholera, typhoid, dysentery. The siege didn't kill them. Their own waste did. Aleppo, 2016. Cholera outbreak from sewage contamination killed thousands more than artillery. The pattern repeats every single time infrastructure collapses under warfare conditions. Your tactical vest doesn't stop cholera. Your AR-15 doesn't kill typhoid bacteria. And your 300-gallon water stockpile, contaminated in week 2 when sewage seeps into groundwater, and you didn't account for the fact that modern water filtration removes particles, not dissolved fecal bacteria at saturation concentration. What actually works? Field sanitation protocol, 5-gallon buckets, heavy-duty trash bags, sawdust or peat moss, agricultural lime. You line the bucket, you use it, you cover waste immediately with sawdust to absorb liquid and kill odor. Every 3 days you add lime, calcium hydroxide. It raises pH above 12, which kills pathogens within 72 hours. You designate a contamination zone 50 feet from living space and water sources. You manage gray water separately, routing shower and dishwater away from waste disposal areas. This is the system that keeps you alive. Not sexy, not tactical. But it prevents 90% of disease vectors that kill preppers in the first month. The survival industry doesn't sell this because you can't monetize a bucket and some lime for $3. They need you buying $500 water filtration systems while ignoring the fact that you're creating a disease factory in your own basement. But even if you solve the waste problem, you're still painting a target on your position with thing number 2. Thing number 2, your family is warm, your neighbors are freezing in the dark, and you're glowing like a highway flare to anyone with $400 in thermal optics. Consumer-grade FLIR thermal monoculars see heat signatures through walls at 1,000 feet. Drones with thermal cameras fly at 2,000 feet and map entire neighborhoods in minutes. You're not hiding, you're advertising. Here's the setup: off-grid cabin, wood stove, generator backup, hidden location, light discipline at night, blackout curtains, no illumination. You think you're invisible. You're broadcasting in a spectrum you can't see. Thermal infrared. Your wood stove puts out a signature visible from 3 miles away on a clear night. The exhaust plume shows up as a bright column. The roof above the stove glows orange on thermal imaging. Your generator's heat signature looks like a spotlight. And the technology to see this? It's not military grade anymore. It's consumer products on Amazon for the price of a decent rifle scope. Current warfare doctrine. Ukrainian forces use commercial DJI drones with thermal cameras to locate occupied buildings, then call artillery. Russian troops do the same. A $1,000 quadcopter maps every heat source in a 5-mile radius in an hour. Then you know exactly where the resources are. Military CR training, survival, evasion, resistance, escape, emphasizes heat signature suppression. The doctrine: underground thermal mass storage, horizontal exhaust cooling gases to ambient before venting, dispersed low-intensity sources instead of concentrated fires. What works? Rocket mass heaters with horizontal exhaust, combustion in a small chamber, exhaust traveling through 20 to 30 feet of thermal mass, brick, cob, stone. By the time it vents, it's ambient temperature. No plume. Underground shelters with earth as insulation and thermal buffer. Serbian tactics during Sarajevo siege. Basement fires with ventilation dispersing heat through multiple small vents, not one chimney. No thermal signature from above. The calculation is simple. If you're visible on thermal, you're a resource node on someone else's tactical map. And organized groups with resource extraction motives don't ask politely. But even if you've handled waste and killed your thermal signature, 70% of preppers still die in the first month. Thing number 3. Your 1-year food supply keeps you alive for 11 weeks. You counted meals, not calories. And calories are the only currency that matters when your body is burning fuel to stay warm, haul water, and operate under constant stress. Here's the standard stockpile: 300 pounds of rice, 200 pounds of beans, 100 cans of vegetables, freeze-dried meals. 1-year supply for a family of 4, according to the packaging. The math says otherwise. An adult under physical stress needs 3,000 to 3,500 calories per day minimum. Cold weather, manual labor, psychological stress. Your metabolism doesn't run on maintenance mode. It burns hot or you get weak fast. Rice delivers 1,650 calories per pound. Beans, 1,500. Canned vegetables, 200 calories per pound because you're stockpiling water weight. Run the numbers. 500 pounds of rice and beans equals roughly 825,000 calories. For one person at 3,000 calories per day, that's 275 days. Not 1 year. And you've got 4 people eating from it. Most 1-year supply marketing is based on 1,200 to 1,500 calorie per day survival rations. You'll be cold, weak, and cognitively impaired within weeks. Decision-making degrades. Physical capability drops. You become a liability to yourself. What actually works? Energy density. Pemmican delivers 3,500 calories per pound. Ghee and clarified butter, 4,000 calories per pound. Honey at 1,380 calories per pound with indefinite shelf life. Hardtack with lard, maple syrup, nuts. Military ration science from World War II. K rations and modern MREs optimized for calories per ounce and shelf stability, not comfort or variety. The mental shift. Food is an engineering problem. Optimize for energy density, fat content for thermal regulation, and shelf stability. Taste is irrelevant. Variety is luxury. Calories are survival. Storage reality. 50 pounds of pemmican delivers 175,000 calories in the space of 1 backpack. 300 pounds of rice delivers the same energy and fills a closet. The difference matters when you're mobile or space-constrained, but even if you've got the caloric math dialed in, most preppers are dead by week 3. Thing number 4. Day 9, you cut your hand on broken glass. Day 12, red streaks are climbing toward your shoulder. Day 14, you're running 104-degree fever and the infection is winning. You're watching sepsis kill you because you don't have $8 worth of antibiotics and the knowledge to use them. Before antibiotics, 1 in 3 people with deep wounds died from secondary infection. We've forgotten this because we've outsourced medical care to ERs and pharmacies. Grid goes down. That infrastructure vanishes. Modern assumption. Minor injuries aren't life-threatening. Grid down reality. Cellulitis becomes sepsis, becomes death. Dental abscesses become septicemia. Pneumonia without antibiotics kills. Urinary tract infections escalate to kidney failure. Infected burns, puncture wounds, any break in the skin becomes a potential death sentence. Walk into a prepper's setup, what do you see? Trauma kits, tourniquets, chest seals, Israeli bandages, Hollywood gunshot fantasies. What you don't see? Antibiotics, dosing protocols. They're prepared for dramatic combat injuries, unprepared for mundane infections that actually kill. Here's the legal workaround. Fish antibiotics, amoxicillin, cephalexin, doxycycline, ciprofloxacin, chemically identical to human prescriptions, available without prescription for aquarium use. You can order them online right now. But here's the critical part. You need dosing knowledge. Wrong dose means antibiotic resistance or treatment failure. You need a veterinary medical manual or a survival medicine handbook. The survival medicine handbook, or where there is no doctor. These give you dosing by weight, infection type, and duration. Wound management beyond antibiotics. Medical-grade Manuka honey as topical antibiotic. Clinically proven effective against MRSA and resistant bacteria. Irrigation protocol with clean water. Knowing the difference between normal healing inflammation and infection that requires intervention. Dental care. Abscess extraction knowledge because toothaches kill through sepsis tracking from jaw to bloodstream. Clove oil for pain, but temporary doesn't fix the problem. Historical validation. World War I. Sulfa drugs increased infected wound survival by 400%. Civil War amputations versus modern field medicine. The difference is antibiotics and knowledge. Your trauma kit handles the first 60 seconds. Antibiotics and medical knowledge handle the next 60 days. And that's usually what determines whether you're still breathing in week 3. Thing number 5 is what actually separates survivors from statistics, and it's the one that makes tactical preppers the most uncomfortable. Thing number 5. The guy in full tactical gear with the plate carrier and Malin Labe flag, he's dead by day 10. The old woman with the overgrown yard and rusted fence, she's alive in year 2. Security isn't about looking dangerous. It's about being underestimated. Here's the standard tactical prepper aesthetic. Punisher skulls, visible firearms, fortified perimeter, come and take it messaging. Defensive hardpoint mentality. Every piece of gear screams capability, which means it screams resources. And in a collapse, advertising resources makes you a priority target for organized groups. Military special operations doctrine is the opposite. Blend in hostile territory. Avoid engagement when possible. Appear non-threatening until action is required. You don't wear a uniform that says, "I'm worth attacking." You look like everyone else, or better yet, like someone not worth the effort. The math that tactical preppers ignore. 4 armed defenders with training versus 15-person organized crew with basic tactics. You lose. Your fortified position becomes a siege target. They wait you out, or they burn you out, or they just move on to easier targets and come back when you're weaker. The goal isn't to win the firefight. The goal is to never have the firefight. Historical pattern from the Balkans, 1990s. Families that looked wealthy, well-armed, or well-supplied were systematically targeted first. Organized militias cataloged visible assets. If you looked like you had something, you became a resource extraction point. Gray man survivors who appeared to have nothing were bypassed. Not worth the ammunition or the risk. Sun Tzu. Appear weak when you are strong, strong when you are weak. Applied to collapse, this means your security is hidden. Shabby exterior. Overgrown property. Nothing here worth taking appearance. Actual security is interior reinforcement you can't see from the street. Concealed observation positions, escape routes, silent alarms. The house that looks abandoned might be the most secure on the block. Social camouflage. being known for a valuable non-resource skill, medical knowledge, mechanical ability, electrical repair. You become protective infrastructure for the community rather than a resource competition target. They need you functional, not looted. The uncomfortable truth. Best security is not being worth the effort to attack. Looking poor, looking harmless, possibly looking contagious. Pride kills you. Humility keeps you alive. The tactical aesthetic is Darwinian selection pressure, removing men who prioritize appearance over survival. But even perfect camouflage doesn't save you from thing number 6. The variable that determines whether you're breathing in 6 months or dead in 6 weeks. Thing number 6. Solo preppers have a 95% mortality rate within 6 months. Tight community groups? 85% alive past year 1. You can't survive alone, and you can't build trust when everyone's starving. Hollywood sold you the lone warrior myth. One man, skill and firepower, surviving through sheer competence. It's fantasy. Humans are tribal animals. No individual maintains 24/7 security coverage. No one handles medical emergencies alone. Specialized knowledge gaps become fatal when there's no one to fill them. The math is simple. 8 hours per night, you're unconscious and undefended. Get injured or sick? You're dependent? Need to repair something outside your skill set? Without cooperation, you improvise badly or you fail. Historical pattern. Great Depression. Communities that pooled labor, shared resources, and coordinated survival made it through. Isolated individuals starved or migrated desperately looking for work that didn't exist. Collapse doesn't reward individualism. It rewards tribal cohesion. What you build now: 3 to 5 household network with complementary skills, medical knowledge, mechanical ability, agricultural experience, communications capability, security mindset, pre-establish communication protocols, mesh-tastic radios or ham frequencies, resource-sharing agreements that everyone understands before stress hits, mutual defense protocols, rally points, escape route coordination. The hard truth: if you meet your survival community after collapse starts, you're not cooperating. You're competing for the same resources. Trust takes years to build. You can't manufacture it under starvation conditions. Why preppers avoid this? It requires vulnerability. Admitting you're prepping exposes you. It requires social skills, not just buying gear. It demands long-term relationship investment. But the statistics don't care about your comfort level. 95% of solo survivors are dead in 6 months. Thing number 7 is the final piece, and it separates people who survive from people who just got lucky for a while. Thing number 7. You hear glass breaking downstairs. You've got 3 seconds to decide. Investigate? Barricade? Escape? Most people freeze. Your brain evolved for 9 to 5 stability, not life or death decisions every hour. And the gear is useless if you can't think when it matters. Physiological reality under acute stress. Amygdala hijack. Executive function shuts down. Fine motor skills degrade. Decision paralysis. Combat psychology studies show untrained individuals make irrational choices. Freezing, denial, panic, overreaction, underreaction. The spectrum of bad decisions that get you killed. What separates survivors? Pre-decided protocols that eliminate decision paralysis. Military training solution. If-then scenario rehearsal. If home invasion, then specific response sequence without thinking. If medical emergency, then exact protocol. If evacuation trigger, then predetermined route and rally point. Practical implementation. Monthly scenario drills. Fire drill mentality applied to home invasion, medical crisis, evacuation. You rehearse until the protocol is muscle memory, not a decision you make under stress. Stress inoculation training. Controlled discomfort practice. Cold exposure. Intermittent fasting. Deliberate sleep deprivation in small doses. Your nervous system adapts to stress. The spike in cortisol becomes manageable instead of paralyzing. Decision fatigue preemption. Make the hard moral decisions before collapse. When do you help a stranger? When do you defend with lethal force? When do you abandon position and flee? You decide these lines now, in calm, rational state. Not when someone's screaming and you've got seconds. Emotional preparation. The darkest one. Pre-process grief. Accept that you may lose people. Because if you haven't processed that possibility, your hesitation kills everyone you're trying to protect. Your trauma kit handles 60 seconds. Your antibiotics handle 60 days. Your decision-making system determines whether you're functional or frozen when it matters. Those are the 7 things.